Hello, this is Keith Lamont with part 4 of the modding tutorial. We've already gone over the basics of XML modding, the basics of C# modding, and then in part 3 we did a sort of a non-trivial example with the ghosts that would periodically show up and hunt you down. And now I'm going to demonstrate how to make a redistributable mod, or sort of a durable mod that will survive updates to the game. May or may not continue working depending on what those updates are, but something that doesn't get overridden. First we'll start with the XML side of it. Basically what I'm going to do is take that ghosts mod that I did in part 3 and move it out into a mod that would survive an update to the game. So first thing to do is go in here to XML mods. This is the Steam directory for the game, not our development environment. It's what you've got. So XML mods, just take example mod, copy, paste, ghosts mod. Yeah, I'll just call it ghosts. KDL ghosts, not my initials. And we actually don't want a game entity. We want. Okay, so I went into it. I removed the example thing of game entity, and now we're going to do special factions. And the directory names are important here. That's how it knows where to look for what information. Thought I had this right. Okay, there it is. So I'm going to take this out of where it currently lives in the vanilla folder. You know, where the vanilla configuration data that can get blown away by any update. And I want to save that, and then save as. We're going to go out to XML mods, do the same place where we were, and just create a file here, and then I don't want to write all this to it, I just want to write this to it. And now this would work as it is, but it would be reading from the external DLL. That gets overwritten. So let's do something different. We're going to call it ghosts mod, and then call it. You can use whatever namespace you like, really. Mods. I'll just call it that. It just needs to match whatever is actually in the DLL in question. So this would not work as it is because that DLL doesn't exist. So now we'll move on to creating it. So go back out here to the game directory, take the external code directory, copy and paste. This is a little bit. This isn't necessarily the best way for this to be done. We could have given you an example. External code DLL that you could have messed around with, but so mod external code ghosts. How about that? It's a little bit more explanatory. And go in and the funny thing is, there's no particular reason you can't just, leave the solution file named the way it is, except that, you may want to change the name so you can tell the difference between the windows when you're looking at it. So, here we are in it's interesting that it kind of opened what I wanted to see, but go here to Project, Properties, Build. See, the output path is where we want it. That's where these things are supposed to go. Alright, so, but I want to change this to ghosts. What do we call it? Yeah, ghosts mod. So that's the assembly name. That means the name of the DLL file that's outputted will be that. And that's what we want. Okay, yeah, this needs to... Yeah. We're going to remove the external visualizations thing. And if you feel like it, you can just rename this ghosts. Rename ghosts. Yeah, that's the best practice, certainly. And basically we're going to clear out everything except what we wanted to work with. Though we do want to leave this initial setup for DLL file here, although we may actually not need it. Yeah, this is not actually needed for what we're doing. If you want to do an input handler, it involves this, but we don't need this. So special factions. So does this have what it needs? Because one question, okay, something did fail. Okay, it's complaining about all the files I just removed. It's like, okay, duh, I just removed them. You want to know why you can't find them, Bob? It's because they're not there, Bob. So let's go out here to... I don't know why it's giving me this trouble. Yeah. So what I like to do is something like this, actually. Okay, well. Is... I'm just over here because this is what I want. I don't want this be specifying the individual files. I want it to just tell me. I want to tell it put everything that's in the source folder in the project. If it's not in the source folder, don't put it in the project. Okay. So you might have to do this. You shouldn't, though. I don't know why this thing is messing around. Okay. Now I'm going to go back over to this external code. I don't want this here anymore. I don't want to have... It wouldn't hurt anything to have the extra copy there. But I don't want it. And so, and this is the namespace we chose, or I chose. So we're going to put that on. And you can use the external namespace. That's fine. There's a small chance that you might pick a name that I would also pick, and then an update could break your mod or whatever. So using something other than external is a good idea. All right. So now you'll notice if you run the game that, and just for the sake of argument, well, I'll go ahead and do that, and you'll see that Ghost is no longer there. Although something I did, one of the things I just did is something you normally, if you remove something like that, you want to go into your settings file and remove the reference. Because otherwise it's going to try to load that data you just removed, and it's not going to do very well at it. Normally, if you define something that is then used in a game that is saved, or in this case in the settings file, I probably need to make the settings file more robust about not caring. But if you remove something, you can break things. because the game expects it to be there. But in this case, you see it, yeah, so the game runs just fine, but there was no ghosts thing. If you look here, there's no ghosts here. So, how do we get it to be there? Well, not everything in the XML mods folder is loaded. That's intentional. The idea is you can store whatever mods you want here, and it's up to you whether to use them. Similarly, here in this moddable logic DLLs folder, just because something is here doesn't mean it's used. Not sure there. There's a problem with the way that these things are being copied. But I don't think that should persist, though. I think I'd fixed that in the other update. Anyway, so yeah, you can have whatever DLLs here. The game doesn't care that they're there. It only cares when you tell it to go looking for it. When an XML file like this tells it, go look in this DLL for this namespace with this class in it, then it cares. Further, it doesn't even care about this XML folder here in the XML mods directory, unless, I think it's over here in player data. Yeah, XML loading order. This is the key file for putting it all together. You just put, so underscore vanilla just means the core data. Never name one of your XML XML mod folders underscore vanilla. Okay, just don't do it. So I'm going to put ghosts here because that's the name of the. Let me make sure that I got that name right. KDL ghosts. Yeah, we want the exact match of the folder name, not the XML file name itself. This is the folder name of the XML mods thing. And so I could put this above, and that would probably be fine in this case. But generally speaking, you want to load vanilla first. And the idea is that these things are applied in order, which is important if you're putting in like something that modifies, say, fighters to be fast. Yeah, you can put the partial record in there, and it'll do that. Maybe we can show that another day. So, anyway, now it should matter. Now it should say, oh, I'm supposed to load that KDL ghosts XML file, and then the XML file points it at the ghosts DLL. It's like, okay, and now I need to pull that class out, and so on. Or it could just not work like that, you know. Oh boy. So why did it not work? That is the question. Well, let's just test something by removing everything. Let's see, is it paying any attention at all? Because this should just fail to, yeah, okay. That's correct. It's supposed to mess up horribly. That is strange, though, that it doesn't load the ghost thing up. Oh, I think I know what the problem is, and this is, I do need to. Special factions and special faction are not the same word. They just aren't. And I strongly suspect if we come over here to configuration, Special faction. So yeah, probably don't type those names in, those folder names in yourself. The file names can kind of be whatever as long as they end in .xml. There it is. So it's at the top of the list rather than at the bottom of the list because that's the order in the file here. Normally you'd put it after. And let's just do a quick test to see if those ghosts actually show up at some point. Yeah, I'm going to make a note of something. If XML mod folder is loaded and has directory names that the game does not understand, show a warning. Or more specifically, does not care about. So if you just have extraneous directories in there, it should tell you you've probably misspelled something. Okay, and there are some ghosts. And so, so even if the game is updated, those files will continue to be there. Now, if you want to redistribute it, you can just pretty much, if it's an XML only mod, you can just zip this up. You know, send to. You know, that's how I do it. I mean, it's not the best way. And then you can just distribute that zip file. Now, this is not an XML only mod. It has C# code in it too. In fact, that's pretty much all that it has. So you can either distribute the. If you're really trying to distribute the mod, then you need to grab this file here, the DLL. You don't need the PDB, but the DLL you need to just send that along. And so if you're wanting to install it, you have to make a decision. Okay, here's this DLL file from this person. Do I know them? If you don't know them, then yeah, you probably don't install the DLL. I don't know. If you don't have some reason to believe that they're trustworthy. Because that code could be anything. We do have some leads that we need to pursue in terms of sandboxing the external code a bit. You know, preventing file I/O, network I/O, that kind of thing. But to some extent, you know, even those precautions are not completely foolproof. So, and that's often the case with games that allow modding the source code. Is it's only so secure. So that's why you can't just distribute a DLL of your external code in the same way you can an XML mod. An XML mod is not going to hurt things unless it's attached to external code that will. But if you send them your ghost mod DLL file, and that's an extremely small file, by the way. It's interesting how C# works like that, how the .NET standard works like that. And you can send them the XML mod folder that references that DLL. They can drop them in there, and then they need to modify their XML loading order, like over here, to actually use it. So, but yeah, there you are. That's modding. That's pretty much all of modding. I mean, yeah, it's the hello world of modding. But like the guy said, you know, once you get to the point where you can write output to the screen, you can read input from the keyboard, everything else is relatively trivial. You know, if you don't know how to write C#, you probably won't be doing much C# modding. But it's not too hard. Anyway, thanks for your time and for your interest and for the support for the project. I hope that these modding tutorials have been helpful. This won't be the last of it, but we probably won't be doing more for a while because we've got to get back to developing the game. but I hope that they're helpful. And,